Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Monique Kasi, and I am the director of the first year writing program here at the illustrious Howard University, out of the Department of English by way of our first year writing program. Thank you for joining us today. We're very happy to have you with us today as we discuss a very, very important topic. The purpose for our weekly professional development workshop series is to cultivate our esteemed um, colleagues locally, nationally, and internationally on best practices, high impact practices, pedagogical styles, um, theoretical frameworks. To incorporate or to consider incorporating into your writing intensive classes, especially first year writing programs. I'm going to begin with a topic today that's very important. And this is dealing with the power of multimodal projects and writing intensive first year writing programs. Um, so we know in 2025, um, the platforms and what we envision for writing courses are changing rapidly. And our Gen Z students, we are definitely trying to keep up with them. So, writing is no longer, as we know, it's no longer just about the pen and paper. So, in today's digital world, we know that we are faced with alternative modes of communication that spans across text, images, video, sound, and interactive media as well. So, if we limit first year writing students to traditional essays alone, we are not preparing them for the diverse literacy landscape that they will navigate beyond the classroom. So, this lecture today, as part of the Professional Development Workshop Series, explores the power of multimodal projects and first year writing programs, emphasizing, if you will, how integrating multiple forms of communication can indeed enhance engagement, critical thinking, rhetorical awareness, and career readiness. So, why multimodal projects matter? So, by definition, if we look at defining multimodal composition, according to the New London Group in 1996, multimodal composition refers to, quote, the strategic use of multiple modes of linguistic, visual, oral, spatial, and gestural to create meaning, end of quote. So, what this means is writing today is not confined to text alone, it includes video essays, podcasts, infographics, digital storytelling, and more. So, some of the key benefits of adopting multimodal projects into your first year writing programs and or any writing intensive um, courses. One, it can increase engagement and motivation. So, research from Yancey in 2004 shows that students engage more deeply in assignments that allow for creative expression beyond the traditional essay. And then in 2003, Daly argues that multimodal projects, if you will, multimodal projects, literacy is critical in the 21st century as students must be able to read and produce texts that incorporate various modes beyond the print as well. Number two, it expands the rhetorical awareness. Multimodal projects require students to consider audience, purpose, and context beyond just a professor grading a paper. And according to Self in 2009, Self argues that multimodal compositions indeed help students develop a stronger sense of rhetorical agency by requiring them to make intentional design choices. Then we have in 2011, Sheepcott definitely stresses the power of bridging academic and professional writing. So she contends that, quote, multimodal assignments prepare students for the writing demands of the real world where digital communication is the norm, end of quote. So, as you can see, many workplaces demand presentation design, technical writing, and digital media skills, all of which multimodal projects teach. Now, moving forward, multimodal projects and first year writing courses can indeed engage students more effectively. For instance, there are some project examples and pedagogical justifications as well. One, several of our esteemed colleagues, for example, here at Howard University, are starting to introduce students to video essays. Video essays encourage critical analysis of sources while improving visual literacy. An example assignment of what this would look like, for example, could be analyzing themes in Kindred through a 5-minute video using narration and visuals, right? According to Alexander in 2011, quote, digital video composition can indeed create stronger rhetorical awareness and argumentation strategies, end of quote. A second multimodal project that one may consider to incorporate into your writing intensive course could include a podcast and audio essays. This as well has become quite popular with a few of our esteemed colleagues here in our first year writing program at Howard University. So, what does this look like to incorporate podcast and audio essays? Well, it can help students refine oral communication and storytelling skills. An example of this, an example assignment could be a podcast on historical memory in Kindred, interviewing peers and experts on this. And I use Kindred as an example because Kindred is our common text for the 2024-2025 academic year. According to Sarasso in 2018, quote, audio projects enhance rhetorical listening and foster inclusive learning environments, end of quote. So, indeed, incorporating podcasts and audio essays can definitely be a powerful uh, implementation, and you don't have to be savvy colleagues to incorporate these assignments. Students are well versed with podcasts, and they would be very super excited about an audio essay. It definitely promotes more inclusiveness for students with diverse learning styles as well. um, a third that you may consider is infographics and data visualization. This method could encourage synthesis of complex ideas into accessible visuals for your students. An example assignment for this would look like, for instance, creating an infographic on techno racism and artificial intelligence. According to Ball in 2012, quote, visual design literacy is indeed essential in a world where infographics and data representations share public understanding, end of quote. A fourth that you may consider, and I know that I'm incorporating this for my English 890 students as we prepare next month for a trip to Europe and my um, African influence in Western Europe, digital storytelling and websites. Okay, so what does this look like? So, if you incorporate digital storytelling and websites into your class, it can provide students with a digital portfolio Okay. And real world application of research. An example assignment could be a website project analyzing Afrofuturism that impacts literature and film, and showing and bridging that gap between literature and film. We're doing a lot of that this semester as well with our inaugural film festival, Visions of Freedom. And I'm very happy to have with us my esteemed colleague, Dr. Iowa, with us as well. She's on the planning committee for that. Thank you for joining us. But students will be able to experience experiential learning at its finest and to see the power of digital storytelling and bridging that gap between literature and film using such a powerful piece of such. So, according to Hawks in 2003, quote, creating online compositions empowers students by giving them a wider audience beyond the classroom. Many times, students feel as though they're writing to the professor. And so, this way, through incorporating such as a digital storytelling and website and sharing it with the global community or select audiences, it really brings to life for students that it's bigger than the classroom. You know, what you write, what you create, depending on which medium you use, can indeed have an impact. It can be a very powerful rhetorical strategy for students to see that it's real and that their writings in digital platforms matter to uplift, to empower, and to enlighten people both locally, nationally, and internationally. Third, I want to address challenges and faculty considerations if you were to consider adopting multimodal projects into your class. So, first, I want to address concerns and solutions. So, indeed, there is a need first for faculty training and resources. According to Sheepcott in 2011, one solution is to provide professional development workshops on digital pedagogy and assessment methods. And that's what we're doing here at Howard University in our first year writing program. But we want to make sure that we provide more hands on professional development workshop training as well. And we know that we have a lot of people that join us asynchronously globally as well. But we definitely want to start incorporating more of that. Two, another challenge and consideration is assessment. An assessment criteria for multimodal work. A solution to this, according to Self and Takashi in 2007, use multimodal rubrics that assess rhetorical effectiveness, coherence, and design choices rather than just grammar and structure. And I will provide sample rubrics of that once we upload to our YouTube station for our Howard University first year writing program. I will share a link to some sample rubrics to see what that looks like. And of course, we know we want to incorporate rubrics so that we're grading more objectively. And so students will see what they are being assessed and how they're being assessed as well. Also, there's concerns about equity and access, right? So, Palmieri in 2012 recommends that it's important to ensure that all students have access to necessary technology and to offer alternative formats for assignments if they don't have access to such technologies. We know that we assume that everyone has these smart devices and surely you'll be able to produce, but you'll be surprised there may be a few out there that don't have access. So we want to make sure that we ensure that all students have access, maybe even providing group projects for those who don't have access, select and put them into groups by choice with those who have access to your smartphones or your laptops or your iPads and so forth. So, in closing, um, and final thoughts, I would like to definitely quote that if we truly aim to prepare students for the future, we must recognize that writing is more than just words on a page. Multimodal composition is not just a trend, it is indeed the literacy of the 21st century. End of quote. So I encourage you a call to action. First year writing programs should integrate multimodal projects as core assignments, not optional add ons. Faculty should collaborate with writing centers, media specialists, and digital humanities experts to develop engaging assignments. And we must empower students to become strong communicators in all forms, whether that's through the traditional essays, the podcast, films, and or data visualization. So I like to uh, close with a few questions to keep in mind. How have you incorporated multimodal projects into your teaching? And if you want to respond, you can unmute or you can ponder over these questions as well. But how have you incorporated multimodal projects into your teaching? What challenges have you faced and what strategies have worked? What role do you see multimodal composition playing in higher education in the next 5 years? So I encourage you to reflect on this presentation today and the questions that come with it, and know that today's presentation uh, is for this was indeed multimodal projects, and to make it engaging, to consider the research-based component of it, and the practical components for all educators in higher education and beyond for first year writing programs and writing intensive courses across the disciplines. Okay, so if you have any questions, the floor is open now. Otherwise, I thank each and every one of you for today's professional development workshop. And if you would like to participate, to be considered for participation in the near future to lead a virtual workshop, please email me at monique.acasi@howard.edu. Again, that's monique.acasi@howard.edu. Um, we like to also announce that although Dr. Nicole Hauser was unable to join us today at Rutgers University to present her presentation on developing digital literacy in academic writing through a theme multimodal project. She will be joining us at a later date, but I wanted to make sure that you at least had a professional development workshop that could prepare you in preparation for her. So this actually helped for those that are thinking about multimodal one-on-one. So this hopefully has laid the foundation for multimodal projects in writing intensive first year writing programs. I welcome any questions that you may have, and please be ready for next week, same time, same place. We will have a guest speaker next week as well. And I thank you for joining us. Have an awesome day. Thanks again.